I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired.
Lindsey Graham told CBS News the Justice Department is vetting information from Rudy Giuliani about your son's work in Ukraine. Are you concerned a federal investigation may be launched?
Rudy Giuliani.
Are you concerned a federal investigation may be launched? Are you concerned a federal investigation?
No, I expect Trump to do the same exact thing he's been doing. Why has he been attacking me from the beginning? Why did he risk, and he should have been impeached, why did he risk getting convicted by going to a foreign leader to say, you don't have to give me anything on Biden, there's nothing to get, just tell me that you're going to investigate him so I can hurt him? Have you ever seen a sitting president as concerned about a single nominee and trying to stop a nominee?
Do you think your son is fair game, Mr. Vice President? Do you think your son is fair game here?
His son or my son?
Your son, Hunter.
I don't think our sons are fair game at all. No one has said he's done anything wrong except the thug Rudy Giuliani. Come on, Rudy Giuliani? A character witness?
When he said, I hope you know what you're doing, what did he think you were doing?
Well, he read the press reports that I joined the board of Burisma, which was a Ukrainian natural gas company. And there's been a lot of misinformation about me, not about my dad. Nobody buys that, but it buys this idea that I was unqualified to be on the board.
What were your qualifications to be on the board of Burisma?
Well, I was vice chairman of the board of Amtrak for 5 years. I was the chairman of the board of the UN World Food Program. I was a lawyer for Boies Schiller Flexner, one of the most prestigious law firms in the world.
You didn't have any extensive knowledge about natural gas or Ukraine itself, though?
No, but I think that I had as much knowledge as anybody else that was on the board, if not more.
In the list that you gave me of the reasons why you're on that board, you did not list the fact that you were the son of the vice president.
Yeah, no.
What role do you think that played?
I think that it is impossible for me to be on any of the boards that I just mentioned without saying that I'm the son of the Vice President of the United States.
You were paid $50,000 a month for your position?
Look, I'm a private citizen. One thing that I don't have to do is sit here and open my kimono as it relates to how much money I make or did or didn't. But it's all been reported.
If your last name wasn't Biden, do you think you would have been asked to be on the board of Burisma?
I don't know. Probably not. I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life that if my last name wasn't Biden.
Did these Russian criminals, Putin operatives, when Hillary was Secretary of State, Barack Obama's the president, and again, you're there when they first get into office, did they express any specific Clinton strategy, how to get her on board, or did they express any Obama strategy?
This was a criminal investigation of people that I had reported. And yes, the Russians and the United States conspirators I was working with stated the Clintons were implicated. But that was not the focus of what I was doing. And I did not believe until Uranium One approval actually happened that the indications from these Russians were solid about the Clintons influencing that decision.
Were they telling you that they had confidence that Clinton would sign off on this deal?
Absolute confidence.
Did they have confidence that Obama would sign off on this deal?
They were quite sure that Obama and the administration, who they had deemed and labeled as being very weak multiple times, would respond favorably.
All right, that's, listen to what you just heard there. By the way, hour 2, Sean Hannity Show, 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. The last cut you heard was William Campbell. Remember the Uranium One informant saying Russian operatives were confident they could get Hillary Clinton and Obama to sign off on Uranium One approval. And what do we ever hear from any Democrats about any of this? Nothing. We have a dirty Russian propaganda, misinformation dossier bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton, unverifiable, now proven false, used as the basis to spy on a presidential candidate, a transition team, and deep into the presidency of Donald Trump. And now we're hearing reports, well, John Durham might not get to the end of the investigation until after the election. Well, how did we move so fast when it came to Michael Flynn and Papadopoulos and Manafort and Cohn And Roger Stone, who's now facing jail time, even though he never had a fair and impartial jury. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. And on top of that, then you got Joe Biden. No, nobody believes this but Rudy. No, you said you're not getting the $1 billion until you fire the prosecutor investigating my zero experience son Hunter. You're paying millions and then you hear Hunter. I don't know. Any experience in oil? No. Gas? No. Energy? No. Ukraine? No. Why do you think you're getting paid? I don't know. Maybe because your father's the vice president? Probably. You know, he said in that same interview, I never got a penny from China. Well, okay, he's off the board. That's the company that he was on that got the $1.5 billion deal just a couple of weeks after he was aboard Air Force Two and they flew into China, $1.5 billion. But he might be off the board, but he still holds 10% of the company, or his return he hasn't cashed it in yet. Anybody in the mob and the media seem to care about that? No, they really don't. Anyway, Joe, should we talk about your son being paid millions off your name and you threatening the prosecutor with taxpayer money? No, we shouldn't talk about that. Okay. And it wasn't only Rudy Giuliani. Anybody that has half a brain and eyes to see and ears to hear understands this. John Solomon, he has an upcoming book. It's called Fallout: Nuclear Bribes, Russian Spies, and the Washington Lies That Enriched the Clinton and Biden Dynasties. John Solomon, investigative reporter, justthenews.com. Well, I can't wait for this book to come out. Should be interesting. Be nice to know that there is a chance of some justice, equal justice and equal application of our laws. Why is Durham having a hard time figuring out simple, law 101? You can't have premeditated fraud before a FISA court. You can't lie on the FISA application and all the other crimes we have literally spelled out in detail here.
Yeah, listen, it's not going to be hard to figure out any of these things, right? They're sitting in plain view. They have been for years. And in the book, Fallout, I talk a lot about not only about the evidence that John Durham already has before him, but some of the evidence that the Obama administration had back in 2010 when it was trying to cozy up to Russia, when Bill Clinton was getting $500,000 checks from Vladimir Putin's pals, when we were giving away nuclear assets to Russia. Our government knew, our Obama administration knew that the very company they were dealing with, Rosatom, was engaged in bribery, kickbacks, and a conspiracy to violate federal law. They knew that before they approved the transaction that we now know as Uranium One, that became a big focus of Peter Schweizer's great book. For years, the Obama administration has been telling us we had no idea, we had no reason to block that transaction, we had no reason to doubt Vladimir Putin's intentions. Well, in this book, we put out a document that debunks that entire scenario. In August of 2010, 2 months before the Obama administration gave one of the greatest giveaways in the history of U.S.-Russia relations, giving away the Uranium One assets on American soil to Rosatom, there was a briefing, a private briefing sent across the entire government, including the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the Energy Department, and they were told, hey, guys, Rosatom, that group that you're going to be giving these assets to, they're under investigation for bribery and kickbacks and extortion, and they still proceeded to give away those assets. And that's not all they gave away. They gave away billions of dollars of contracts between American utilities and Russian uranium providers, meaning our energy supply in the United States, thanks to Barack Obama, is dependent on Vladimir Putin's uranium supplies. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, those are the ones who gave away those goods to the Russians.
Well, I mean, all of this now is chronicled, but nothing ever gets done. I mean, I'll be honest, John, I'm beginning to get to the point where I'm not believing in equal justice anymore. I'm not believing in equal application of our laws. There just seems to be this double standard. If you're jaywalking or you get a parking ticket you didn't pay, I mean, that now will warrant, if you support Donald Trump, 29 guys in tactical gear and a pre-dawn raid and fake news CNN cameras watching it all and videotaping it all. I mean, for a process crime. I just don't have faith in that small period of time for many of the same crimes, including same process crimes, because we had multiple referrals by the Inspector General and not one single indictment. We went over everything as it relates to Uranium One. I mean, all the money that was kicked back to the Clinton Foundation in that particular case, and she signed off on that. And we had William Campbell doing the work. He was a spy inside of Putin's network, and bribery and extortion and kickbacks and money laundering. He chronicled all of it. I've interviewed him. You've interviewed him. Nothing seems to happen there either. Bob Mueller, it was on his watch that all that happened.
You're so true, and you understand. I mean, you've eloquently said why the American public now is so frustrated. They do see two systems of justice. They see Mike Flynn get prosecuted after the career FBI agent who investigated him for 5 months said he didn't do anything wrong, and then we go ahead and prosecute him anyways. And then you see people like many of the figures that were benefiting in Russia during this nuclear transaction in the Clinton-Obama years. They walk away scot-free with millions of dollars in their pocket, and there's no consequence whatsoever. And I talk about in the book, in Fallout, I talk about that the decade from 2009 to 2019, where we went from the failed Russian reboot, the fake Russia scandal, the fake Ukraine scandal, the impeachment and acquittal of President Trump. I call it the decade of deceit. And why do I call it that? Because you look at that era, there were institutions that we always came to trust, that they were going to call it straight, right? They weren't going to play politics. The facts were the facts. And that was the Justice Department, the FBI, most of the news media until recently. And in that decade of 2009 to 2019, all of those institutions turned their backs on the truth and instead focused on politics and creating outcomes and agendas, not following the facts, not following the law. It's going to be one of the most consequential decades in our American history if people like John Durham and Bill Barr don't finally bring accountability to those who carried out the crimes of the last decade.
Well, I mean, this is the point. Now, where are we? I know that apparently for a while grand juries have been shut down. My understanding is they're open. I mean, how much longer do we have to wait? Because Bill Barr said we'll get something sometime in the summer. I don't know what that means. And he said it's not a report that Durham was working on, but a criminal investigation. So that would tell me that, you know, what's a report, John Solomon, except, it's news for what, 24 hours, if that? And then the mob covers it up, and then everybody walks away, scot-free. Those that lied under oath, those that had premeditated fraud on a FISA court, those that abused their power, they all just walk away scot-free?
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. And listen, I can only rely on the reporting and facts that are in front of me right now. And I'm going to say, I'll give you the very latest of what I know. In the last 2 months, there has been activity consistent with building a criminal case against a small number of people that were involved in the FBI Russia investigation, looking at crimes such as deceiving the FISA court, destroying or altering federal documents to make them misleading to the court, to the Congress, and other crimes. And I've seen activity that's consistent in any federal case of moving towards criminal charges. Now, it's been slowed a little bit by the grand juries, but listen, Giselle Maxwell got indicted a couple of weeks ago. There was room in New York at the grand jury to get her indicted. There is capacity and room to get this case done. The timetable that I'm hearing from defense lawyers and from people that are knowledgeable of this investigation is they think something will happen just before or just after Labor Day, at the very end of summer. All
right, final moment here with John Solomon, then we'll get to your calls, 800-941. Sean, you want to be a part of the program, straight to the phones. His new book, by the way, coming out, Fallout, Nuclear Bribes, Russian Spies, and the Washington Lies That Enriched the Clinton and Biden Dynasties. We have it up on Hannity.com. It's on Amazon.com. All right, so by the end of the summer, before Labor Day, what would you expect?
Yeah, I think there are two possibilities. I think there could be a plea deal with one or two people who are in the crosshairs right now. It's in their interest to make a deal and cooperate. And then I think that cooperation could lead to one or two indictments. I think the focus is on three things: false testimony, alteration of documents, and an effort, a conspiracy to deceive the FISA court. Those are the three crimes they're looking at, as best I can tell from my reporting. I think you might see a plea deal and then an indictment if they can get it all together in time before Labor Day.
All right, John Solomon. It's up on Hannity.com, Amazon.com. Thanks for being with us.